Welcome to an EVO video session being streamed live on January 11th and 12th, 2010. This is Jeff Lebow in Busan, Korea, and we're very fortunate to be joined by two people who have produced a tremendous amount of great, useful, interesting ESL or EFL video content. Jennifer Lebedev from JenniferESL. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi there.
And Dave Sconda from EnglishMeeting.com.
Hello, thank you.
And on the call, we're also joined by Branka and Cora, who are going to be keeping an eye on the text chat room and on us. Hello, ladies.
Hello, from Sacramento, from Branka.
Hi, from San Francisco, Cora.
And I believe the goal of this session in general and this discussion in particular is to help us become more familiar with the English videos that you produce and how learners and educators might make use of them. But I'm thinking before we go there, I'd love to get to know you all a little bit and hear about the path that led up to you becoming EFL video rock stars. So Jennifer, why don't we begin with you? What was life like before you produced your first EFL video?
There was no chosen path. It was accident rather than design, truly. I'm just a classroom teacher who stepped out in 2005, and by the time 2007 rolled around, a book contract had ended. I had two children, but because they were still so young, I wasn't ready to go back to classroom teaching, but I really did miss teaching. I was so happy to write a book, but I wanted to teach somehow, and I was curious. I had heard of YouTube, watched maybe a couple videos through links, but never thought about, is anybody from the ESL or EFL world posting anything on there? And lo and behold, I had found a few clips of different teachers trying some things out, and it inspired me to give it a shot. And so just posting my own videos, one thing led to the other. The response was warm and welcoming, and I just kept posting. So it was just really accident rather than design. No chosen path, just happened.
And I know that your path involved learning languages pretty actively. Had you used video at all as a learner?
Well, videos. In my classroom, I never had internet access. I was able to bring in DVDs, VCR cassettes. That's the most clips from TV shows, films. But videos in the sense of what we're doing, no, it wasn't available. Again, so my YouTube channel was started in the summer, fall of 2007. At that point, there was just literally a handful. I remember seeing like less than 5 people actually posting ESL videos. Some things were being posted as observations, similar to what you would do to give somebody a demonstration of your teaching skills in a classroom setting. So the camera was there in the classroom recording while somebody was teaching to a class. But actual videos designed for an audience on the internet wasn't being done, really. So I wasn't able to use the videos that we're making weren't available when I was a classroom teacher.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing how quickly the video landscape has changed. I mean, a decade ago, it was all about popping the VHS tapes into a VCR to actually do it. And Dave, what can you tell us about your path before your EFL video career began?
Well, I've always been interested in video production since I was a kid, and dabbled with it in different ways growing up and things like that. And when I was in graduate school, I was really interested in doing something different with education. And since I had this interest in video, I tried to marry the two when I was in graduate school. So some of the research I did at that time involved different video projects. And my first ESL job I was using video as much as possible. I was in graduate school when I first started teaching, so it was kind of experimental. So I did a lot of different scenarios with video, and then towards the end of graduate school, I started writing my thesis, and my focus was on video conferencing in ESL education. At that time, that's when broadband just kind of came out to America, so you could get some more bandwidth, so video kind of worked live. And I focused on that, and I was able to teach some classes from my home in Los Angeles to classrooms in China, in Germany, live, and that was very exciting. One of the most thrilling experiences I've had as a ESL instructor. And then as time went on, and like Jennifer said, when YouTube came around and started getting popular, it dawned on me that perhaps live video really isn't the direction I should go, that perhaps it's better just to make videos and start playing them on this new land called YouTube. So I started playing around with that, experimenting, and boom, there you go.
What do both of you do when you're not making videos, as far as day jobs and non-online life?
Go ahead, Jennifer.
I have 2 children. My first job is a mom. So it's quite amusing to think about what it takes to make the videos. If you watch some of my earliest videos, sometimes the sound quality is quite bad because I'm whispering at night into my headset because my children were sleeping. So,
that's dedication.
That's dedication. My kids would take a nap or sleep, and that's when I'd film. They'd go to sleep 10 o'clock at night. I'd tell my husband, get the camera, let's record before they wake up. So, my first job primarily is taking care of my family, but I also do teach privately online, and one wonderful thing about YouTube is it gives you visibility. You're out there, for better, for worse. You can be an object in a positive way and a bad way, but mostly for me it has been very good, and the visibility has led to other projects. So I do blog for Pearson, that came about through visibility, and then some more collaboration evolved with English cafes, so I create materials for them as well. So through various contracts I keep busy, everything related to either instruction or materials creation, while juggling with life with 2 kids.
Do you sleep?
Watch my earliest videos. I was watching it actually myself the other day, my very first video, and I was like, oh my goodness. You can see the sleep deprivation. But in any case, you couldn't keep me away from teaching. I wasn't ready to go back to classroom teaching, but I sure missed it, and I'm glad I found YouTube. It really saved me and led me down a path I didn't even think I would ever take. I really thought classroom teaching was it, and I still love traditional classroom teaching, but I am so thankful and excited to be part of what is happening right now online. So here I am.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very exciting place to be. It's very unique, and once you start getting out there and getting some response, it's hard to compare it to anything. It's hard to compare it to the classroom. It's very different and very nice. I agree.
And before we get to kind of what you all actually do with your videos, Dave, what do you do what's your day job, or what do you do when you're not making videos?
Yeah, well, I'm a college instructor, so I teach at a college here in Los Angeles, and I also do some consulting work with a manufacturing company in Taiwan. So I'm kind of doing 2 things, and also developing new projects and new, perhaps ESL-related website projects or video projects and that sort of thing.
It is one of the nice things about being in English language education is it seems like the opportunities, come from different directions and lead different places, and it's certainly a way to keep options open. All right, so let's talk about your videos. What do you do? How do you describe your videos and the structure, your approach? And we've been beginning with Jennifer. We'll mix it up and we'll start with Dave. Tell us about your videos.
Our videos. Well, I began by making vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation videos, and that has been the three biggest categories, really. The demand for vocabulary more so has been for idioms. They seem to love that, so you give the viewers what they want. They love idioms, and I tend to focus on that. Grammar, topics that, you know what I really enjoy about it is that you can choose topics, especially in grammar, that aren't necessarily traditional textbook topics, but nonetheless grammar related, or you can really explore a traditional grammar topic from different angles that aren't normally approached. So, for example, like phrasal verbs, everybody learns about, okay, phrasal verbs get transitive and transitive, separable and separable, but you can then, why not do a whole lesson on the fact that compound words are formed from phrasal verbs, something you don't typically find in a textbook presentation. So you do traditional topics, but you can approach them a bit differently. I've also branched out and done some mini lessons, which have allowed me to do many different things, like a lesson on New Year's resolutions. Cultural notes can also fall under the category of mini lessons. Mini and American slang has been fairly popular. In my book, American slang is not really street talk, but just informal, everyday English. And
but when you sit down and say, okay, I'm going to make a video on vocabulary or grammar or whatever the topic is, how do you structure it? How is it different from what you would do if you were teaching a class on that?
Well, there is the basic, the same basic components are there. You have, and that was also why I started to make these videos on YouTube. As I said, when I first started looking in the summer/fall of 2007, I was seeing one of two things. Either people were just recording what was happening in their classroom, or two, if they were making it specifically for YouTube, then it wasn't the full package. It was maybe partly an explanation or maybe a little game, but nobody was doing the full lesson, which I believe is presentation and practice. So I wanted to include presentation and focus practice and some form of communicative practice. So I wanted to put the whole package together. So when I make my lesson, I usually strive to have all of those components: explanation in two forms of practice, controlled and communicative. So I work that in different ways. So again, it is definitely a different approach because you don't have that interaction, so you have to brainstorm and think outside the box. How am I going to create interaction with my viewers, knowing that it's not a live audience? But nonetheless, it's possible.
Yeah, I want to get back to that interaction concept because I think that's an interesting one. But first I want to ask Dave to tell us about your videos and what they're like and how you approach creating them.
Yeah, so when I make videos, planning videos, all that sort of thing, it's totally different than in the classroom. I try my best. You know, it's not always successful, but I try my best to think in terms of how it's going to play out, like somebody's watching a short little movie video and that sort of thing. And I try to approach it. My thing is edutainment. I try to, my thing, like I mentioned in graduate school, was I wanted to do something a little unique. I wanted to try something with video and kind of come at this English language teaching at a new angle. So I'm trying to educate people, but at the same time, I'm trying my best, like I said, don't always succeed, to entertain the people as well so that they have a good time watching it and they have some fun. And that's the way I go about it. And, you know, in terms of planning, I'm always experimenting. Sometimes, you know, I'll jot it down, like even kind of storyboard it a little bit and jot it down, and I get like a framework together, and then I'll shoot it, and then when I get to editing it, everything changes, and I start moving things around, and, you know, it's a constant changing process, and you know, I have not settled on one way of doing it. I'm still playing around and still experimenting. And, you know, and I'd like to see Jennifer's response to this. Sometimes I'll come out, and I say, oh, I have an idea for a lesson. It's very simple. I'm going to make this video really short. And then,
never happens.
Hours and hours go by, and then it becomes, it's a 10-minute video. And then how am I going to reduce it? So I always start off trying to keep it very short and simple, but it almost never happens. So
No.
How about you, Jennifer?
Well, the irony is not too long ago somebody had commented, Jennifer, your videos are usually under 10 minutes, but boy, I'm sure it takes you at least an hour to make those videos. I was like, gosh, if I only took an hour, you'd have a video from me every single day. The truth is that a lot of my videos take, I'd say the average video takes about 20 hours.
Wow.
Wow.
And this is because if you want to talk about planning, especially when it comes to grammar and pronunciation, the difference is when you're making these videos, if you're teaching in a classroom, each time you teach a topic, you get better. That's called experience. But when you're in the classroom, of course, you're responsible to deliver quality to your students, but you can always say, this is the way I think it is, and then you can follow up and get back to your students or add to what you've presented the day before. When you make a video, you post it and it's out there. So you have to get it right. And as your numbers increase, that's an increased sense of responsibility. You better get it right. This is being posted. It's for posterity. Once it's out there, it's being downloaded. You can't take it back. So
yeah, you can't take it back.
When I do a grammar pronunciation topic, I research. I make sure that I of course I know what phrasal verbs are, but if I'm going to put out my explanation officially of what phrasal verbs are, I darn well better get it right. So I look at lots of different sources, see what everybody's saying, make my own conclusions, and then start going. So there's a lot of research for the grammar and the pronunciation. Then you start putting it together. My steps are I always do my filming, what I do, what my explanations on camera, or if I'm interviewing people. So all of the film work gets done first. So I have all of these clips going on. Then I start working with my PowerPoint and developing what do I want to put on a text slide. And then I go into editing and I start putting the two together. Then once you have it is storyboard form in editing software, you go into joining your video clips with your PowerPoint, put those together, then you decide, okay, do I want my captioning? Do I want text pop-ups? Do I want to add music? What about transitions? It's the package, too. Transitions and music alone, it's not just icing on a cake. It does help with pacing and sequencing, coherency, so it's worth taking the time to add those elements. But boy, music alone adds at least an hour to the project.
and it all does take more than an hour, huh?
Yes. Yes.
I think she brings up a really good point, because when you're doing this, you're doing two things. You're teaching, and so you're developing all of that content. And like she said, this is going out to the world, so you don't want to look foolish. You want to make sure you got it right.
Because they will get you.
And they will get you. Somebody in some corner of the world is going to get you.
But Dave, you said at 4.31 that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They'll tell you the minute and the second.
Right. So you're developing a lesson that you can't go back and change. So much time goes into developing the content and getting that right. But then there's this whole other world that most people in education are not familiar with, and that is video production. And that starts with, shooting yourself. And it gets into almost, if not every aspect that most movies are made from, because you're talking about audio, you're talking about video, you're talking about lighting, you're talking about post-production, and post-production in video or movie making is the longest part of the process. So some people, like Jennifer mentioned, it must take you more than an hour. Somebody said, who didn't know what was going on. Well, the thing is that shooting it is actually the shortest part. Once you get it into post-production and you start editing it and adding all of those things that Jennifer just mentioned, like sound, like music and captions, titles, how are you going to have those captions come up? Are they going to pop up? Are they going to scroll across the bottom? I mean, there's so many choices. So you become, you know, the expert at ESL, and you have to be a pretty
Proficient.
good video person too, movie maker at the same time. So it's a lot of stuff to take on. And, you know, like Jennifer also said, you know, 20 hours. You know, I'm sure to some people watching this, listening to this, are quite surprised that a short video that maybe could be 2 or 3 minutes long could have taken 20 hours to produce.
Are both of you your own camera people?
Most of the time, yes, but I've had everybody from my neighbors to friends to whatever. You know, like, and sometimes, you know, there is considerable planning. Other times you just shoot on the moment. For vocabulary, it just might be the moment. I was back home in Pittsburgh, my hometown, and I realized it was the site, the host of the summit was the G9 or G7 summit. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's exciting. So I had my family rush me down to downtown, braving traffic. We went up to the observation point, and amidst tourists and whatnot, we shot a video up there, and that hadn't been planned. It's just opportunity presented itself, and I came up, brainstormed 3 idioms off the top of my head and said, let's go with it, let's just film, and I'll work with it at home.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. So sometimes I just seize the moment and work with it. Other times, most of the time I work by myself. The truth is, my earliest videos were shot by myself, and only this past Christmas, I believe, I gave myself a tripod for a Christmas present. So nobody knows that up till then, I've been shooting with my camera stacked on books, strollers, bookshelves, walls.
Wow.
And I would like to add, unlike Dave, I am still learning a lot. I have so much to learn when it comes to the technical know-how. So I hope in that sense I can inspire teachers to do this, because if you look at my earliest videos, you can see I didn't know anything about editing. I knew how to start. I knew how to stop. I didn't know how to use editing software. And you can start just by learning how to transfer your skills from the classroom to video, and then gradually add in the skills as you learn to use PowerPoint, as you learn to use editing software. When I started, I did not know how to do that. All I knew how to was to point and shoot, and that's how my videos began. I'm learning. I'm learning. So.
Yeah. You know, you start simple, and anyone who might be watching who's interested in doing this, start simple. Don't go out and spend a lot of money on things. A lot of times when you do that, you spend money on things and you never use it. And I agree with Jennifer. Start very simple. Don't worry about whistles and bells. Really, all you need is some type of video recording device that can record the video and the audio. And it's about you and the content. And if you can provide some good stuff, it'll just get better and better. And, you know, don't worry about the money thing. Don't worry about learning this huge editing program, because some of the editing programs out there, you know, can take a very, very long time to learn how to do. And then you don't get busy creating your content. You're spending too much time preparing, and maybe then you get burned out, or it just never happens.
Speaking of the content, you spend all this time, you produce a video, you toss it out there. What happens then? How does it get used? What kind of feedback have you gotten from learners and teachers? And what kind of interaction has grown up around the content that you've put out there?
I guess the first use, obviously, the main users obviously are language learners. A lot of them are on their own, studying independently. But some are part of programs. They're just doing additional self-study. So there are some people who are either using our videos to learn English, advance their English, or supplement a program that they're taking. Then, of course, there are teachers out there watching, which is a huge compliment to know that your colleagues are out there watching you. They like what they see, and they like it enough. They, want to share it with their students, not just recommending it, just, hey, check it out, but actually bringing it into their classrooms. And that's a huge compliment, that they like it enough to bring it into the classroom as a classroom resource, as a classroom tool. So to my knowledge, having spoken with different teachers, both face-to-face and then through email, corresponding with them, I know that there are teachers who use it sometimes as a pre-lesson component. If they're going to be covering present perfect and they know that I've covered it on my channel, they might ask their students to watch it in advance, or post-lesson saying, okay, we've covered it, and for additional practice, why don't you watch Jennifer's videos on this. So it could be pre, could be post-lesson components, and then sometimes if there's a certain part of my explanation they like, or a certain exercise, they might choose to include that in the classroom. I don't think they simply bring the computer in, press play, and walk out of the classroom.
Although I think you guys would be great for, lazy Monday morning teachers who don't know what to do.
There you go.
In
click.
a pinch, you could always just, go to JenniferESL or EnglishMeeting.com and get, at least a few, get the class started.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I've tried to do is bring this idea of educators producing video to educators around the world. So last year I gave about 8 presentations at different education conferences, and what I found was that there's so many educators out there who perhaps don't know about this stuff, or maybe they heard about YouTube, but what they heard about YouTube was negative and a lot of silliness going on YouTube. And in these presentations, one of my messages was, well, there is a lot of silliness, but at the same time, there's a lot of great content on YouTube, a lot of great education. There are so many people teaching so many different things on YouTube, and just a little, one reason why I gravitate to YouTube, not only its popularity, but people have different bandwidth, they have different internet connections, different speeds, and YouTube servers are pretty quick. So even if a classroom has a slower connection, they can usually watch these videos with a lot of success. So I've presented not only my videos, but other people's videos at these conferences, and got a lot of positive feedback. Even I presented Jennifer's videos at these conferences. And I have a page on my website where I'm talking about all these different teachers, and here this guy teaches grammar, let's say, and then this person teaches this, and so so they can find something very quick. One thing that I believe a lot of teachers feel is they don't have a lot of time to research videos and to plan. Class planning for most instructors is very time consuming, and they have a curriculum they have to stick by depending on what kind of place, what kind of institution they're teaching at, and teachers work hard. They work so many hours that people don't realize. So in terms of using video, many teachers, I believe, my opinion, is that they want something that they don't have to spend too much time researching, that they can find it, okay, this looks good, I'm going to make this part of my lesson and go with it. And then I find perhaps teachers will use it more and more. And what else? Well, personally, I use it in my classroom when I teach. I use my videos, I use other people's videos, and like Jennifer said, one of the most exciting thing is just the global audience and getting these independent learners from, you get responses from people in countries that, you weren't even sure if they had the internet there. And so it's very exciting, and it's very rewarding that you're reaching these people and having a dialogue with them.
If I can add to that, the other use, there's another sort of, among the teachers who are watching, I think the ones who truly appreciate it most in some ways is beginner teachers. When my numbers were low and I was actually corresponding more with my viewers because email was manageable at that point, I did correspond with instructors at that point, people for the first time in non-English speaking countries wanting direct access to a teacher in the States or just an English-speaking country and could ask their questions about pronunciation, about grammar. So there were some beginner teachers who just wanted some ideas. Okay, you taught this topic, Jennifer. What can I do in my classroom? Can you give me an activity? Give me an idea? So I was actually helping people, beginner teachers, developing their lesson plans. And that actually now I can meet that need through my blog, giving ideas for classroom activities. So my videos stand alone, but if you really need activities to complement them, you can look on my blog, because I like to offer different ideas for classroom activities. But also for presentation, I think it's really useful, even for veteran teachers, to observe another teacher giving their explanation on a certain topic. I just remember how thrilling it was when I went from EFL in Russia to ESL in the States, and I was allowed to observe other staff members. It's so beneficial to observe other teachers doing their thing. You always pick something up new. You compare. Comparison is good. You reinforce things that you're doing positively, or you pick up a skill and modify to get better. So it's really beneficial to watch other teachers teach and hear their explanation, particularly for beginner teachers who haven't taught a certain topic. They think, oh my gosh, I have to teach, phrasal verbs. So how do I explain it exactly? I mean, I know what they are, but how am I going to explain it to my students? Well, go on YouTube, see who's taught it, and listen to the different explanations from those teachers, and perhaps that will help you prepare your own. So I've gotten a lot of email from beginner teachers thanking me and saying that they appreciate being able to watch my presentation on a topic so that they can prepare their own.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that was one of my points when I gave these presentations last year. I think one of the things that many instructors are missing is the ability to observe other teachers. There's a lot of how do I say, just strange feelings that go around that idea, because if you're teaching, let's say, at a college, your colleagues don't necessarily want to have a peanut gallery in the background because of all of the things that could or could not stem from that. And if you approach other institutions that don't have a connection with you, they may frown upon it as well. When I was in graduate school, part of the study program was to observe. So when I was a student, I had an in to go and watch, and that's when I was a beginner, and it was extremely valuable and very motivating. So one of the great things about video is that you get a chance as a teacher to go in and observe other teachers and improve your skills and maybe find your own method, find your own style. But teachers can learn a tremendous amount from these videos as well.
Have either of you created videos that are specifically related to professional development that are geared toward teachers as opposed to actual learning content?
No, I haven't.
One. I was experimenting on my blog. My blog is primarily text with some still images, but I did make one video to complement a blog. It was on how to teach pronunciation. So that was specifically geared towards teachers. I should insert that if you really want to hear a more detailed explanation on how I view the making of instructional videos for language learners, I am compiling a series, and it's posted on EnglishCafe.com. So it's not the technical how-to, but rather what I believe you should be aware of, what aspects you should keep in mind, what considerations are needed when you're making your videos. So I address everything from, should you use a script? No, not most of the time. Should you work with transcripts? How do you choose a topic? Pacing, sequencing. So those kind of issues I address in my series.
I wanted to get back to the interaction possibilities, because both of you have thousands of subscribers and you get lots of comments. And I mean, that is kind of one of the great things about the Web 2.0 and everything, is that it's interactive. It's not like you just put it out and it's there and nothing happens to it. There's a conversation that grows up around it. how has the community evolved around your content, and how has your content grown? Have people produced video responses or things like that, or are there directions you'd like to head as far as that goes?
Well, yes, all of that, and I'm sure it's the same with Jennifer. I've had many video responses, many comments, many emails, and like Jennifer, when I first started out, there wasn't so much interaction, but as time went on, the email gets overwhelming. So, it gets to the point of like, how do you manage this? Because, if you want to interact with your community, it gets near impossible to answer every email. You'd be spending every minute of the day answering email, and of course you want to be nice and friendly, and personally I would love to get to know a lot of these people. I'm like, wow, this person seems so interesting. I'd love to talk to them, have a dialogue with them. I'd love to teach them live, all this sort of thing. But it comes down to time. How much time do you have? And I wish there was more time in the day. And for myself, I'm still trying to find out the best ways to manage time so that I can interact with people and respond to people and still move my life forward, without, getting put into some kind of asylum somewhere.
I tried so hard to keep up with it, but I have to say initially it was important. I think what really helped promote my channel and get the numbers initially was word of mouth. If one person likes your channel, they'll tell another, and it goes on. And I was so excited too when you first launch your channel and you get your first comment, your first subscriber, and then, oh my gosh, I have 100 people watching. Oh my gosh, I have 1,000 people watching. It's really exciting. So you do want to interact with them and get to know them, and it's very exciting. But it becomes unmanageable. And one of the hardest decisions, it wasn't even a decision, it was a realization that I can't meet everyone's needs. There are a lot of needs out there, and each story, it touches me, and I want to help each individual, but you ultimately have to realize, how can I help the most, and in what way? And really it's making the videos. The videos reach the masses. So by making one video, I can help thousands. If I answer one email, it's limiting my help to one person. So it's hard. There are times where I do answer, but you have to make that realization. It's impossible. I tried really hard for a while, and then once you get up to 50 emails a week, 100 emails a week, it's impossible. Finally, my one Gmail account froze when 10,000 emails, my account wouldn't allow me to accept any more emails. So I think one way to filter it is I decided where to limit my concentration. I can't respond even to video comments so much anymore because, once you have 100-some videos, you're getting comments continuously on those videos. It becomes impossible to respond to all the comments, all the emails. So I do try once a week to reply to the main channel comments. And then I found through collaboration, I'm able to meet people's needs. So I try to direct teachers, for example, to my blog, and if they contact me that way, I can answer their questions and meet requests from teachers through my blog. If there's students having language questions, I try to direct them to another site. Most of the time, English Cafe has an ask and answer section, so I tried to figure out how can I meet people's needs, and how can they contact me with the information that I can actually act upon. So it's trying to come to a realization of what's realistic, what's possible, and two, brainstorming, well, what can I be doing? How can I meet their needs? Not just through video, finding other platforms. Dave, you could add to that. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I've seen a number of people out there who are producing video or audio podcasts and this sort of thing, and to this moment, it's still a bit of a mixed bag. Some people just don't answer email at all, and they choose only to focus on production, and others, feel like they're going to stay up till 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning answering email because that's their personal philosophy. And I think, the best I can come up with is you got to find what works for you and works for your life, because if you get off balance, I believe it becomes very difficult to keep doing this. You want to feel energy and positive feelings when you're making your videos. You don't want to feel like it's a chore and it's like hard work and this sort of thing. And if you feel like you're not balanced with it and you don't have that positive energy going, then I think you're going to slow down and perhaps even stop making video.
But it is the comments themselves, I have to say, that give me that. When I do feel overwhelmed with different projects I have going on, thinking, oh my gosh, what have I taken on? So many things to juggle. All you have to do is read a few comments, and the viewers are very generous with their support, and read an email or two, and it's just like, when at the low points, all I had to do was read one email, and I was like, no, I have to keep doing this, because even if you've touched one person, made a difference in one teacher's life, one student's life, you want to keep doing it. You just can't stop. So for me, yes, it's taxing, but it's the same source that taxes you is the same source that inspires you and encourages you. So for me, it's a cycle.
And it has to be. I mean,
I've
read both of the comments on some of your videos, and you both just get lots of love. I mean, that has to be very gratifying as an educator and as a person, just that you're touching lives in a positive way. In the chat room, William is mentioning the possibility of creating a wiki to help kind of orient people to your videos. How do you deal with organizing your content? The longer you do this, the more stuff you have, and how do you go about, for the person who's just stumbling across your content for the first time, how best to organize it and help them navigate through everything you've done?
I don't know how else to put this in blinking lights on my YouTube channel. I have playlists, and I have it on my profile saying, people, use the playlist. So I admit that I didn't have the best system for titling always, because I would make a video, as Dave said, it's hard to limit it to 10 minutes when initially I was restricted. Now I'm at the point where my channel isn't restricted with the 10-minute limit, but I'd have this lesson, part A, part B, part C. It gets confusing how to understand the organization of all my videos, but YouTube is a wonderful site that does allow you to use playlists. So, for example, I can make a playlist for all my pronunciation videos, all my grammar videos, all my American slang videos, and they are numbered. So through the playlists, I think the organization is very clear. You can choose the category, and you can see the sequence in which they've been uploaded. And then if there are any questions, there is that interaction.
Yeah, in what Jennifer is talking about here on her YouTube page about the playlist, perhaps one of the problems with it is, this is YouTube, and they have, certain templates that you have to use. So you have to follow their template. So like Jennifer was saying, she tries to encourage her watchers to click on the playlist, but a lot of people may not see it so clearly because of whatever, the template, I don't know, many things. One of the things I'm always developing and trying to improve upon is all of my videos are on my website. So, if somebody wants to see them, and just, see what I have, they can come to my website and boom, they're all there in one shot. And that's something that's always being improved upon, developed, adding more videos. And with that same idea in mind, that I try to keep it very simple for the users so that they can come and easily find the videos, and if they want to watch all of them or they just want to know where all of my videos are, they can do that. They can also, find other people's videos too. So my solution to that has been create your own website and organize things there. That's how
Now,
I've done it.
playlists
the
are
works.
something that as a content producer you can structure your own videos into playlists, but also as a user you can create your own playlists, right?
Yes.
So if I want a pronunciation playlist and grab videos from different content
Yes.
producers, I can do that,
Yes.
right?
And people have done that. I stumbled upon my own videos that are on people's playlists, like grammar, and so there are many of my videos, but they're interspersed with other people's grammar videos because that person wanted specific topics, and there are grammar topics, of course, that I have yet to cover.
Have either of you attempted to make your videos available for download? So for people who do have spotty internet connections or maybe teaching somewhere without an internet connection where they can download them, save them, and toss them onto a CD or something?
Most viewers have figured that out, that you can download on your own. Just go to a Google and type in a YouTube downloader, and you'll see free downloading and conversion software as well. So most of the viewers are able to figure this out on their own. For those who really struggle and say that they can't even handle the downloading because their internet connections are so poor, I do give them an option.
Give them an
CD-ROM.
option to, like, buy a CD. Oh.
CD-ROMs. I don't make this a business. It's just for those. I charge them for my time earning. So it's not like a lucrative branch of.
And you can almost encourage piracy. You know, if one person gets a CD
It is, but
in a
you
country,
know what?
go ahead
I
and copy it.
rationalize with my husband on this one, saying, you know, okay, so you get a CD-ROM, you sell it to a person. Who's going to stop that person from burning and making thousands of CDs in India, Philippines, whatever? And then I thought, you know what? They're doing me a favor. If they're really going to pirate and distribute
Right.
thousands of copies, well, then they're spreading my free material anyways. So, you know, if they're going to copy, I can't stop them. And if they're actually distributing them, well, that's the purpose. I'm sorry. My only regret is if they're actually making a significant profit, since I'm not.
Well, I think what she's talking about, you know, we're in a new world, and this is stepping into Web 3.0, and what I believe is, you know, the paradigm has changed or is changing, and you know, by putting videos on YouTube, you're pretty much giving it all away.
Yeah.
You're pretty much saying, here, I made this, anybody can have this, it's free. And it's a new paradigm. The music industry is still struggling with this because, of course, you know, CDs can be ripped and copied, movies, same thing, parts of the world, and they're still kind of struggling with this. But in this new technology, in this new world of internet, high-speed, exchanging media very fast, it's a new paradigm. I believe you have to give it away. You give it away, and like Jennifer said, if more people get exposed to it, that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. And you keep producing, because if Jennifer's doing a good job, or if I'm doing a good job, well, then people will be interested to see what I have coming next and that sort of thing. So personally, I don't worry about you know, people taking my stuff, because by going on to YouTube, I'm saying, please take it, it's free.
And it does kind of help build your brand, and people will pay you to do other things.
Yes.
Well, maybe. I hope so.
Which downloader do you recommend, if any? Like keepvid.com or...
Dave, do you have?
Well, some of my students have used or recommended KeepVid. I have done what Jennifer said. I don't like to recommend one service.
Yeah.
A lot of these downloading softwares disappear or break.
Yeah.
You know, there's always updates to Flash Video. There's, you know, part of
I
this
usually just give the
website-
instructions. Just put in the search for a free YouTube downloader and see what's current.
You'll find many.
find-
You know, the thing. You know, they can do it. They can even screen capture. There's screen capturing software out there. So there's many ways to do it. Last year when I gave a lot of these presentations, a lot of the teachers told me, they can't access YouTube wherever they teach because their institution blocked YouTube. So that was a big problem for them. So, you know, that's the advice I gave. Just either screen capture it And there is there is free software for screen capture from TechSmith called Jing, and I mean, anybody can download that and do a screen capture very quickly. So that's one plug I'll give. But like Jennifer said, in terms of downloading it, just Google, download YouTube, and you'll find different softwares for that as well.
All right. And how did you get to exceed the 10-minute YouTube limit? I know they used to offer a premium service that would let you do that. My understanding is that they've actually stopped that, but were you grandfathered in?
It's magic. I have no idea how it happened. It just happened. One time I knew from the beginning the 10-minute limit actually allows you to do like 10 minutes and 5 seconds, 10 minutes, 30 seconds, anything up to 11. But one day I had done lots of research, and so many other YouTubers are struggling trying to find how to get around that 10-minute limit. I suspect that it has something to do with the traffic and number of subscribers, because all I can say is that at one point I was restricted, and now I'm able to pass that 10-minute limit, so I'm unrestricted right now. It may have to do, one, being a partner, a YouTube partner, but two, I think it also might have to do with numbers. Once your numbers are high enough, you're not restricted.
You got some Google love.
Yeah, Google love. I should throw in there's an interesting aspect. We don't have to go too in-depth, but still interesting to touch upon with that love. Mostly love, but there's some bad stuff out there too.
With the good comes the bad.
With the good comes the bad. So it's tied in with a lot, in the sense that you have to be willing to put yourself and your work out there, because ultimately the majority is going to benefit. The majority of people watching appreciate what you do. The majority of people watching will benefit from it. But there are those who will attack. There are those who will criticize. And it's a very unique and different position to put yourself in. You don't experience those kinds of attacks in traditional classroom teaching. There's some harsh, scary attacks that you can be under when you put yourself out on YouTube. So with the good comes some bad, but ultimately I would still believe it's worth it. You just read all the love out there, but it's possible. You can block the people who are truly harsh if they start to harass you, but there can be some negative.
Well, the thing is, you can block, like, let's say on YouTube, but they know, if they know your name,
yeah,
they can find you in other places. And she does bring up, Jennifer brings up an important point, because, like, for teachers out there who are thinking about doing this, I think it is important to recognize that it's not all love, that there can be a lot of negativity, and perhaps extreme negativity from people from wherever in the world who just want to give you a hard time. And it can be very disconcerting. So I think it is important to mention this and to say, if you want to do this, be prepared for it. And my advice is, just don't pay any attention to it. Just keep moving on. Don't take it to heart. You can't let that stick. You see it and you go, oh God, well, I feel bad that person has to do that, and you move on.
But even so, that's the negative. It's easier to deal with the negative comments that aren't even relevant, because you realize this is just not classy, this is just not mature, so you ignore it. But there will be a higher volume of negative criticism too that actually relates to what you're teaching. So it's interesting as a materials writer. I've written books, I've collaborated on books, but you don't get feedback like that from the people who buy your books. They don't have your email address, and the people reading your books don't write to you as they read each chapter with questions, comments, praise, and criticism. So your videos have that aspect of direct feedback from the viewers. Mostly
you get direct
good,
feedback, and I wonder, Jennifer, have you gotten some feedback? For instance, I've gotten some negative feedback from somebody criticizing some aspect of what I was teaching, and they were wrong. They they didn't have all the they probably, I'm sure that they believed they were right, and that they believed they were doing the right thing, but they were wrong. So in that instance, what would you do? Would you respond to them? Would you ignore it? How would you handle that?
The key with the comments that actually you need to respond to is professionalism, because your name is out there. Your brand, you have a brand out there too. You have a professional reputation to uphold, so you need to maintain your professionalism responding to all of these comments. But you're right. If somebody needs to be set right, you need to clarify. You clarify, but in a professional way.
So you would respond to them?
Definitely, because if somebody is questioning your instruction, the content, if you don't respond, then there's that lack of clarity. There's doubt that could spread. And this is, of course, again, where it gets tricky with the comments on videos. Something that I possibly need to consider myself is discontinuing commenting on some of my videos that I can't supervise anymore because of the volume.
Do either of you have any help moderating comments?
No.
Is that possible? I mean, could you ask someone who's kind of a loyal fan to kind of keep an eye on things and maybe help moderate?
You would be giving away, administrative rights, and they could destroy your site. So that's a trick. I mean, I guess you could maybe hire somebody that's within your grasp, but my staff has been on vacation for the last so they say they're coming back, but they haven't come back yet. So it's just me right now.
You know what? There is interaction. The reason why it's not as if I've never said, oh, well, I can't keep up with my comments anymore. I should probably change my settings and not allow this to happen. But I don't want that because there is interaction among the viewers. If somebody posts a question and I don't respond in a timely manner, usually other viewers chime in and offer their responses, their ideas on that matter. So that's just even one good reason to allow the comments to continue on all your videos, because it is a community. It's not just people watching. It's watching and interacting possibly with you to the degree that you have time, but interacting with one another as well.
That's right. That's where the community comes in, and it's really nice to see when you have the community answering certain people's questions, and especially when they stay on topic. It's a wonderful thing to see, because this is what every teacher wants to see in their classroom, like students helping other students, using their knowledge to help somebody else. Because when you do that, it helps both of the students. When a student becomes the teacher, becomes the helper, it just solidifies what they know even more. So it's a dynamic thing that can only, really happen on the web like this. And in terms of community, that's a great example of how that's happening.
We are coming up to an hour, and so I do want to head into the home stretch here. I have a couple more questions for you, and I also know that Branka needs to head out shortly. And I want to check in with Branka and Cora to see if they have any comments or questions or contributions from the chat room.
I've
Hi,
enjoyed...
Jennifer.
Okay, Cora, go ahead.
I really enjoyed the presentation, and thank you very much, Jennifer and Dave. It's fabulous.
Oh, you're welcome.
Much welcome. Thank you.
That's pretty much what I wanted to say. I did have some questions, and you covered them all. And what's most fascinating for me as well is that time aspect and the different modality of how you're delivering your content. And it's fascinating. And I want to thank you for all the work that you're putting into what you're offering all of us, the whole community.
I think Dave would have the same response. It's a pleasure. It's really a pleasure. I love doing it.
And thank you. And Branka, if you need to head out, I understand you may want to kick a few people out of the chat room before you head out.
Yes, I'm doing that as we speak.
Appreciate that. And my question for you, too, is where to from here? Both for you as content producers and creative souls, where do you think your creative work is going to head? But also in a general sense of how is this new media going to be integrated with traditional forms? Do you think books are going to include your YouTube videos somehow? How do you see all of this evolving?
Dave, me personally, I think I'll continue it. So I love it so much. I don't see myself ever completely giving up making videos like this. There's a performer side of me that I enjoy and have to feed. So I like making the videos, and I think I'll continue putting them out there. How they'll be used remains to be seen. I think there are a lot of I think one wonderful thing about YouTube is that it's just a starting point, and it has branched out already for me into directions that I didn't foresee. So sometimes it's a matter of me just continuing to do my thing, gaining the attention of other people doing different kinds of work in our field, and making a connection saying, oh, well, you know what, I think what she's doing kind of relates to what I have in mind, and then we collaborate. So forms of collaboration have evolved simply because I became visible on YouTube. So I can't always predict what's going to happen. Sometimes I'm just going to continue what I do and wait for people to get a brainstorm and make suggestions to me. So there have been proposals thrown my way from different potential collaborators, and we'll see which ones I take and which ones I head in. Having my videos go into the classroom, I think, will happen. Whether it actually gets compiled or packaged into a course remains to be seen. I just hope for greater visibility, and like Dave, I want more people to become aware of not just my channel, but basically all the channels related to our field that are developing on YouTube. They're a resource that teachers can make use of, whether it's for teacher training or just your own personal reference, or whether you want to take excerpts and make it part of your presentation, or use your textbook and then use some of our exercises as a supplement. There's so many different possible uses of the videos.
Yeah, I agree. It will, just to follow up on what Jennifer was saying, this is a new paradigm in education, and it's analogous to what MIT has been doing for the last number of years with their open courseware project. MIT, very well-known, well-respected university, opening up their courses to the world. And as bandwidth, gets spread around the world to more areas, more people, it will get to the point where you can self-educate yourself and you can learn things. You don't have to be accepted into a university. You don't have to even perhaps pay money to go to a certain school. The money issue is not a great factor that it was before. So where is it going for me? For me, it's going much more video, producing a lot more video, getting better with it, try to produce higher quality video, using some better equipment, things like this. I'm personally interested in creating a web presence where I can have online courses within like a course management system. So where I'm trying to go with this is having a course management system. Students from all over the world can join a class, and it's not, you don't have to be synced up, and perhaps it would be for a period of time, and they can follow along that class with videos, with audio, with quizzes, with resources, with all of these elements into one, so that people can not only just watch video, but then they can feel something more substantial behind it, like they're graduating, they're reaching higher levels. So perhaps there'd be level 1, level 2, level 3, and they can keep moving up and up in that way.
Add to that, one direction I'm hoping to explore more is teacher training and professional development. I have the blog, but that's text, and I'd like to see how I can help teachers specifically through video. So we'll see what happens in the future. But I'm also hoping that with my series, the How to Make videos, how to make EFL instructional videos, I will inspire more people to try to start as Dave said, start simply, but just start doing this. Why? Because despite the growing number, there's still so many topics that can be covered. And JenniferESL is just one teacher, Dave's just one. Even together, we can't cover all the pronunciation topics that could be covered through video, all the grammar topics. And even if we cover the same, we're giving 2 presentations. And of course, students can benefit from more than one source
Absolutely.
of instruction. So I often tell my viewers, okay, so I have my pronunciation lesson on the L sound. Well, watch other people's too, because you're going to benefit from hearing more than one explanation, more than one presentation. So I'm hoping that I will inspire more teachers to create these videos, but I hope also I can guide people in that process. So
That's
teacher
one of the
training
advantages
for these videos.
I'm sorry. I was just going to comment on that part you said. That's one of the advantages of this whole video thing that's happening is the multi-dimensional. It's a learning theory, and if you have more than one teacher, that's a good thing. It's not. Yeah. I don't look at it as teachers competing against each other. You have these different teachers who are doing their style, their thing, and for the learner, it makes the learning process better. It helps that person's mind or brain to absorb the material because it comes from different directions
and different styles.
And different styles and all of that. So it's a very, very good thing for the learner, not just sticking with one teacher.
I had one question for Dave.
Oh, sure.
I was reading, what you like skiing and motorcycles? Those are such great context, because I don't know if you have yet to go on location. One thing I love about making videos is, you're not in a classroom, so I love. Yes, if people watch my videos, I mean, you can see me different places. I try to do different things I normally would not do in a classroom. Like, hey, why don't I do some dance moves? Okay, I'll do some dance moves, So I was thinking, do you ever see yourself making a language video on a motorcycle or
get a helmet cam?
Skiing,
Yeah, actually, I've even looked into. They have these different brackets for motorcycles, and I could do different things with that. I mean, I have thought about it. I haven't done it yet, but yeah, I would like to. It's, it's always a planning thing, and getting those brackets or getting the right material so that the video can do well. And I would love to do that. I would love to go skiing and shoot a video, and I don't know, teach while I'm going down the slope. I don't know. It might be a little dangerous, kind of like holding the cell phone when you're driving or something. But, I would love to do that because, I just want to make it intriguing, interesting, and all of that can do that. So I want to do that. I also, want to. One thing I did this last semester was some of my college students, we made a short video, like a dramatic little video, and that had ESL pedagogical elements throughout it. And I'm also interested in doing that, like creating little dramas, little comedies that are teaching along the way. So perhaps it's even more entertaining. I'll experiment with it. We'll see how it comes out.
It is a world full of possibilities, and we will look forward to staying tuned to Dave 2.0 and Grandma JenniferESL. Before we go, I just wanted to mention one interesting little fact I stumbled across as I was looking at your different YouTube videos. Do you know which videos of yours have been viewed the most?
Probably the oldest one.
Oddly enough, you both have the same topic as the most popular one.
That would be the TH sound?
That is correct.
Station.
The bane of all English learners is the TH sound.
Well, that brings up a good point. And one of the things that's probably worth mentioning is that when I make a video, I try to come up with a topic that perhaps will benefit a lot of people or the most people. And I think with the TH sound, that's something people all around the world can benefit from. Not everybody, of course, but it covers a lot of ground. Whereas some some sounds are very particular to particular languages, and so the audience is a lot smaller. And in the case of TH, I think it is very useful for a lot of people.
It was in demand. A lot of the times the topics, sometimes I choose topics because I want to cover them, but a lot of the time it's because I just keep getting bombarded by the same request. So the view, and that's a nice thing as a materials creator for the viewers to tell you what to make. So.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you for this. It has been an absolutely fascinating discussion, and I want to thank you for all the great content that you've put out there and continue to share with everybody. And we will very much look forward to staying tuned. We'll stay on a little bit if you guys are okay for a couple of minutes for a post-show and to give folks a chance to Skype in if they would like. But once again, thanks very much. And everyone stay tuned to the EVO video session. Things are just getting started.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.